Welcome to My Healing is Your Healing, a podcast for the woman who is ready to stop performing and reclaim her voice. I'm your host, Celeste, and around here, we don't do surface level. We go deep. Each week, we'll explore concepts like self-discovery, radical honesty, and the kind of healing that rewrites your story from the inside out. This is a space for truth-telling, for remembering who you are, and for coming home to yourself, louder, braver, and more radiant than ever. So come as you are, and let's do this together. Let's begin. Welcome back to My Healing is Your Healing. I am your host, Celeste, and this month we are talking about something that affects almost every part of our lives, which is alignment and energy. And alignment is actually my word for all of 2026. It's not productivity or hustle or optimization, it is alignment. Because the older that I get, the more that I notice something really interesting. When my life feels good, when my energy is calm, when I'm clear about who I am and what I'm doing, it's almost always because I'm in alignment with myself. And when things feel heavy or confusing or exhausting or just off, it's usually because somewhere along the way, I stopped listening to myself. So I started saying yes when I meant no, or I ignored something that my gut was telling me. I pushed myself past my limits, or I kept participating in something that no longer matched the person that I was becoming. And that's misalignment. And here's the tricky thing here, that most people don't talk about alignment in a real way. They talk about this mystical moment where suddenly everything just falls into place. You know this version, right? Where one day you wake up and your life just magically clicks. And suddenly your job feels perfect. Your body feels amazing, your relationship is easy, your schedule is balanced, and your mind is just calm. And suddenly you feel like the right version of yourself has finally arrived. Because everything feels so aligned, you're able to make all of the right choices. You eat perfectly, you go to the gym every morning, you drink enough water, you answer your emails calmly, and you don't get triggered. It's like you've unlocked this fully healed adult woman level of life. But the truth is that that version of alignment does not exist. Alignment doesn't show up after the perfect job appears or after you finally fix yourself. It doesn't magically happen when your life finally looks the way that you think it should. Alignment is not a mood. It's not this lightning bolt. It's not something that the universe just drops on your doorstep one moment like this surprise package, right? Like we talked about a while ago, where it's just like, knock, 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 I'm here. Your life can begin. No, alignment is much quieter than this. It's something that you have to practice every single day in small moments, in your regular daily decisions. And here is where a lot of us get stuck. We're waiting. We're waiting to feel clear before we make a decision. Or we're waiting to feel confident before we change something. We're waiting to feel motivated before we start a habit. Or aligned before we take action on something. But if you wait to feel aligned before you act, you can end up waiting for a very, very, very long time. Because the woman that you're becoming is not created by waiting for that right feeling to arrive. She's created by the choices that you make before that feeling arrives. And this is the hard part, because becoming the version of yourself that you want to be often means doing things that feel uncomfortable at first. And so this means saying no when you normally say yes. It means showing up for your goals even when no one else is watching, when no one else is giving you that silent round of applause. It means doing things that don't give you that instant gratification, or making decisions that might confuse some of the people that have been in your life for a while. And at first, this can feel strange, but something amazing happens when you start practicing this alignment, because you start to notice these little teeny tiny shifts in your life. And then your confidence begins to grow in ways that you didn't expect, because you start trusting yourself more and you start feeling calmer in the decisions that you're making. And sometimes you'll have these moments where you stop and think, wait a second, I did that? I built that habit? I created that boundary. And then you're like, wow, this life is suddenly unfolding around me. It didn't just happen. I created that. And those moments are so powerful because they remind you that your life is not random. Your life is being shaped every single day by the decisions that you make. So I want to talk about what alignment actually means because it's often misunderstood. Alignment is not perfection. Alignment is honesty. And that is it. It's the moment where your values and your actions start to match each other. It's saying yes when something does feel truly right, then saying no when it doesn't. And even when that no feels uncomfortable, when it disappoints someone, even when it would be easier to just go along with things. Alignment is when you stop betraying your own instincts, when you start paying attention to those quiet signals that your body is giving you. You know those signals. It's that tight feeling in your stomach when something doesn't feel right, and the exhaustion that you wind up feeling after spending time in certain environments, or the way that your energy changes when you're doing something that you actually care about. Alignment means listening to those signals instead of just ignoring them and shoving them to the side. So here's an example. Let's say that you tell yourself you want to be healthier. Alignment is not suddenly just waking up one morning and loving going to the gym. Alignment is putting on your shoes and going anyways because you're dreading it and you don't want to go. Or let's say that you want deeper friendships. Alignment is reaching out to people and making plans instead of waiting for them to call you. Or let's say you want a calmer life. Alignment means leaving the party early, or saying no to the extra project at work, or turning off your phone when you want you time at night. Alignment is the moment where your behavior reflects what matters most to you. And here is the catch. At the beginning, alignment does not always feel good. Because a lot of people believe this myth that motivation or relief comes first. Like you'll suddenly just feel inspired and then you'll take action. But most of the time it's the other way around. You have to make the choice first. Then the relief shows up, where you see the honest thing and then you feel lighter, where you set the boundary and then you feel calmer. You go for the run and then you feel proud. The good feeling does not create alignment. Alignment creates that good feeling. And that's the big shift in how most of us think about change. Because it means that you don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need to wait for the right mood or the perfect moment. You have to simply ask yourself a question. If I were living in alignment with the life that I want, what would I do next? Not 10 years from now, not next month, not Monday. Just the next decision. That's all you have to figure out. Because alignment isn't something that just happens one time. It's something that you have to create over and over and over and over, choice by choice, day by day. But this is the beautiful part. Every time that you choose alignment, even in some small way, you start becoming the person you were hoping to become. So I want to talk about something that most people don't admit. If alignment is so powerful, why do we avoid it? Why do we keep staying in the same patterns and the same routines and the same decisions, even when we know that something feels off? Most of the time, it's not because we don't know what alignment would look like. Because deep down, we usually do know. We know the conversations that we've been avoiding. We know the boundary that we need to set. And we know the habit that would move us closer to the life that we want. But we delay alignment because alignment brings disruption. And disruption can feel scary. Because the moment that you start choosing alignment, your life begins to change. Your schedule will change, or your habits, or your routines might shift. Your friendships might evolve. And the way that you spend your time will look differently. You might become less available. You might stop tolerating certain things, or you might realize that parts of your life don't fit you anymore. And that can feel unsettling because even if your life isn't perfect right now, if it doesn't feel great, it is still familiar. You know exactly what your day is going to look like. You know the rhythm of your routines. You know the mix of the good and the bad that comes with your current situation. So even if you're unhappy with parts of your life, at least you know what to expect. And your brain understands that environment. The human brain loves familiarity because familiar feels safe, even when it's not making you happy. So when alignment asks you to make that different choice, something inside of you hesitates because alignment is often the moment where you choose the unfamiliar on purpose. You choose the path that might lead somewhere better, but you don't fully know what that path looks like yet. And that is very uncomfortable. Your mind might start questioning everything. Your body might feel resistance, and your ego might jump in and say, wait a second, what are we doing? This feels different. It's risky. This doesn't feel good. And that voice can get really, really loud. But here's an important distinction that I want to make. When we talk about comfort, we're not necessarily talking about happiness. Those two things are very different. Comfort is familiarity. Happiness is alignment. And sometimes the life that you are used to is just comfortable. It's not actually aligned. Maybe it's this routine that keeps you stuck, or the relationship dynamic that drains you, or this habit that keeps you from feeling the way that you want to feel. It's comfortable because it's known, but it's not necessarily making you feel alive. And alignment asks you to step outside of that familiar comfort. It asks you to choose something new. And that can feel uncomfortable at first because your nervous system is adjusting. Your brain is learning a new pattern. You're becoming someone slightly different than the version of yourself that existed before. I want to talk about this myth that clarity comes first, like we were talking about before. Because another reason that people delay alignment is this belief that clarity should come before action. We think that we should feel completely ready before we make that change. Like we're waiting for this sign from the universe. Like someday we'll just wake up and we'll be totally confident. We'll know 100% what we have to do, right? We'll feel calm and certain and motivated. And then we'll just go out there and take the bull by the horns and take action, right? But in reality, that is rarely how life works. Clarity does not come before action. You learn what feels right by trying things. You learn what works by experimenting. And you learn who you are by stepping into these new experiences. Waiting for clarity can keep you stuck or frozen for years. But once you start moving, things begin to reveal themselves. And your intuition sharpens, your confidence builds. That direction that you were looking for becomes clearer. And suddenly that one path that felt confusing starts to make sense. And this is where alignment becomes very real, because alignment is built through hard choices. They're not the life-altering moments, because those don't happen every day, right? It's just these consistent, honest decisions. And there's this video clip from Instagram that I saw that captures this perfectly. It's this short clip of two women talking. And one woman is looking at another woman who is very fit and healthy. And she says something like, "You're just so lucky. You're healthy and you're fit and you look amazing. It just must be so easy for you." And the fit woman looks back at her and says something really simple. She says, "No, I just make the hard choice every day." And she laughs and she goes, "Don't you think that I want a cheeseburger? I love all of the food that I don't eat." And then she says something powerful. "I just know what's aligned with the way that I want my body to feel, and I choose that." That is alignment. Alignment is not waking up one day and magically just craving salads, right? Alignment is wanting the cheeseburger and choosing the salad anyway. Not because you're punishing yourself or because you hate yourself, but because you know the direction that you want your life to move in. You know what kind of energy you want in your body, and you know what kind of future that you're building. And if you keep waiting for those decisions to feel easy, you're going to stay stuck. Because easy usually leads back to those comfortable, familiar patterns. But when you start choosing the hard thing, the honest thing, something begins to shift. Because every time that you make an aligned choice, you chip away at the life that you're trying to create. You build this evidence that you can trust yourself. You start stepping into the version of you that once felt so distant and far off. And over time, those choices become easier. Not because the effort disappears, but because the identity shifts. You start becoming the person who naturally makes those decisions. Now, here's the really important part. Alignment does not mean changing everything about your life overnight. In fact, trying to overhaul your life entirely all at once usually makes things harder. Like we said before, alignment is built through these small decisions in real moments. It's noticing the moment when a choice appears and then responding honestly. So it's the moment that you told yourself you were going to do yoga tonight. And instead of automatically turning the TV on, you pause, you feel that little internal tug, and then you roll the mat out instead. Not because you're entirely excited about it, because you're probably not, but because you said you would. And the moment when something feels off in a conversation, instead of ignoring that sensation, you pay attention to it. It's choosing to say the honest thing, even when it's slightly inconvenient, even when it's not perfect, or it maybe costs you something, or it causes discomfort. Because alignment is not neat. Alignment is not graceful. It is messy, it's imperfect, it's probably sometimes awkward, and it is full of moments where you are figuring out things in real time. Messy does not mean wrong. Messy usually means honest. So I want to share something from my own life here, because if I had really waited until I felt ready to do the things that I care about, I probably would not have started any of them. I wasn't ready when I started to write my book. I didn't just wake up one day thinking, oh yes, today I feel completely prepared to write something meaningful and thoughtful and put it into the world. I started because something inside of me said that it mattered. I wasn't ready when I started this podcast either, but starting something new is always just a little uncomfortable. You wonder if people will listen or read your book. You wonder if you'll say the right things. You wonder if someone out there is already doing it better than you. And I definitely wasn't ready when I walked into my first tango class. I remember feeling so awkward and behind. I felt like everyone else in the room had already had it figured out. Like they knew the steps and the rhythm and the flow. And I was just standing there trying to remember where my feet are supposed to go. But I showed up anyway. And over time, those moments of showing up, even when I felt uncertain, brought me closer to myself than waiting ever did. I've also made aligned choices that cost me things. Some of my friendships have changed. My availability definitely changed. There were moments where I chose to protect my time and my energy and my goals. And not everyone liked that. And that can be hard. Because when you stop being everything to everyone, some people will notice that. Some people will question it. They don't understand it. But here is what I've learned. The things that truly belong in your life will adjust. And the things that fall away were usually never aligned with you in the first place. And what came after those choices wasn't regret. It was relief. It was self-trust. It's this deep feeling of coming home to myself. And that's what alignment ultimately gives you. It's not perfection and it's not certainty, but it's this quiet confidence that you are finally living in a way that is honest with what you want. So let's talk about how to actually practice this alignment in your real life. It's one thing to talk about alignment conceptually, but it's another thing to live it. And the easiest way I've found to understanding alignment is to think about the woman that you're becoming. Not just the goal, but the identity. Okay, so for example, one of my big goals right now is to run a Boston qualifying marathon time. That is a 3:25 marathon. That's like sub 8-minute miles. Now, if I only focus on the number 3:25, it feels super overwhelming. And it's just this giant thing floating out there in the future. But alignment doesn't happen when I cross the finish line and get the 325. It happens in the tiny decisions that I prepare every single day leading to that finish line. So instead of obsessing over race day, I ask myself a different question. I ask, what does the woman who runs a 325 marathon actually do every day? Because she's not just someone who magically appears at the start line and suddenly just runs fast. She's someone who has built all of that through thousands of tiny, small choices. So I had to start breaking it down for myself. Okay, if I'm becoming a woman who runs a Boston qualifying time, what does her life look like? Well, she probably sleeps well. So am I going to bed at a time that supports recovery? She probably takes her training seriously. So am I actually following my mileage plan? Am I ramping up responsibly between now and race day? She probably supports her body with good nutrition. Okay, so am I fueling myself in a way that helps me perform? Maybe that means being thoughtful about alcohol or mindful about sugar, and also paying attention to when I'm eating and how it's fueling my runs. She also probably prioritizes strength. So am I showing up for those strength sessions even when they're not the fun part? Am I doing my core work? Am I doing my mobility? The boring things that nobody posts on Instagram, because that's the work that supports the goal. And so once I started thinking about it this way, something really interesting started to happen. The goal stopped being abstract, and it became this inner daily alignment. Every decision became a small vote for the person that I was becoming. And those decisions are sometimes simple. Sometimes I'm just asking myself a question. Would the woman who runs a 325 marathon make this choice? Would she stay up scrolling on her phone until midnight? No. Would she skip the interval workout she planned? Would she ignore recovery when her body absolutely needs it? Probably not. So when I ask that question, the answer becomes clearer. Not because it suddenly feels easy, because would I want to watch Instagram Reels and laugh for a while? Sure. But because I know where I'm going, and that's alignment. Alignment isn't wanting the salad. Alignment is choosing it anyway because that is the life that you know you are building. Alignment is doing it because the future version of you benefits from that decision. It's not always fun in the moment, but it is powerful over time. Because when you stack all of those small aligned decisions together, something incredible starts to happen. You begin to become the woman that you once imagined. So I want you to apply this to your life. The same process works for you with this toolbox. It does not have to be a marathon, though. Maybe your goal is emotional healing, or building a business, or improving your health, or creating deeper friendships. Maybe it's simply feeling more calm and present in your life. I want you to take a minute and think about the version of you who already lives that life. What does her day look like? How does she treat herself? What habits does she practice? What does she prioritize? What does she protect? And then ask yourself that simple question. What would it look like for me to make one aligned choice today? Not 10, not overhauling your entire life, but just one. And maybe that means sending the message that you've been avoiding, or going for a walk like you promised yourself, or saying no to something that drains your energy. Alignment isn't something that you feel your way into. It's something that you have to practice your way into. So if you've been waiting for alignment to magically arrive, if you've been telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow or next week or on Monday, pause, because alignment is not a destination that you reach someday. It is a relationship that you build with yourself, choice by choice, moment by moment, brick by brick. And every time that you choose yourself, even if it's imperfect, your relationship with that self gets stronger. So, if you want a place to practice this in real time with other women who are doing the same work, I would love to invite you to join us at the Radiant Women's Collective. We meet the second and fourth Wednesday of every month online. It's completely free, and it is a space where women come together to have honest conversations about growth and identity and healing, and what it actually looks like to become the woman that you want to be. You can find the link to join us in the show notes. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and remember,
You were never meant to dim your light.
Thanks for tuning in and being here, for healing out loud, and for walking this path beside me. If this episode cracked something open or helped you remember a part of yourself, pass it on and share it with someone you love. For more support, free resources, or the next steps to your journey, head over to my website, myhealingisyourhealing.com. And if you loved today's conversation, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your words help this space grow and help more women find their way home to themselves. If I was your muse today, then my healing is your healing. Until next time.